Welcome to the Canoga Park Youth Arts Center's new series, Art Appreciation, where this spring we are celebrating the contributions of women artists. So each class will be looking at a different woman artist. Today, it's Georgia O'Keeffe. You can't talk about women artists without mentioning Georgia O'Keeffe. She's best known for her close-ups of flowers, her landscapes of the Southwest, and her fascination with bones. Let's see what we can learn about Georgia O'Keeffe by looking at some of her artwork. Here's a picture of Georgia. Now, her neighbor actually taught her and her sister how to do watercolor when she was just a little girl, because she decided at 10 she was going to be an artist. So as she was growing up, she wound up going to school at the Chicago Art Institute and then later teaching there. She also taught at a school in Texas, and then she moved to New York. And she was making her art, but she felt very restricted by the lessons the other teachers were giving her. She didn't feel that just painting the land the way it was enough. She wanted a little bit more. So she ended up, while she was in New York, meeting this photographer, Alfred Stieglitz, and then they fell in love. He took a whole bunch of photographs of her, and then she started making the art that she felt resonated more with her. One of those were the landscapes that she used to make. Let's look at these landscapes. Now, you can tell that they're a landscape, but a lot of the detail has been kind of obscured and generalized. Look at this beautiful rock formation. She would go back to these specific locations time and time again and paint new pictures of them. In fact, back in her day, it was not common for women to have driver's license, but she bought an old pickup truck. She got her license, and she would pack up her paints and go out to these landscapes. And when she wanted to take a nap, she would crawl underneath her car, where the only shade was, and take a little nap. One of her favorite locations was this ghost town. So it's this beautiful black mountain. She ended up buying a house there, and she turned part of it into a studio. She even bought a second piece of property in that same location. She fell in love with New Mexico when she went there, and she went from spending only summers there to living the rest of her life out there. You can see her palette is very gentle, and that her lines and the way that she treats her landscapes are very thoughtful with her watercolor. They come close to being abstract, but we can still see that there's land, there's a horizon line. Look how high that horizon line is. We barely see any blue sky. So the whole emphasis is on these beautiful little nuances amongst the cliffs and the change of colors. She felt that that area was just designed to be painted because of the striped color bands. Now, she did also close-ups of flowers. One of these is the morning glory. So she makes these gigantic flowers, and they're so big that on some of them you can even lose track. Are they a flower, or is this just color? So you can see that she was really pushing what had been done in the past, to where now it's more than a morning glory. Now it's this crazy, beautiful shape. Now when we move over to this flower, you can kind of see, I don't know, is that a flower? We're so close up that we kind of lose our point of view. Next time you have a flower in your hand, get up really, really close to it. And you'll see at one point it stops becoming a flower and it just starts becoming color and shape. Now her poppies down here were very popular. She did a bunch of paintings of her poppies, and she put them on a red background, which really saturates the whole painting into the color of poppies. But again, she was interested in doing more than just painting a poppy. She wanted to express more about herself and more about nature through her painting. Now, much like Georgia, I also love bones. She did a whole lot of bone paintings. And you can tell this bone is floating up in the sky. She doesn't care about that. As she's an artist, she can do what she wants. So she put this bone floating in space and gave it like a stormy kind of sky, not just a straight blue sky. And she included a flower, and of course, this is the horizon line with all of her beloved hills. She did another one of a skull. It's called Red, White, and Blue. And you can see there's a little bit more detail to this. She would find these skulls just laying around when she went out into the desert. you know, sometimes cattle die when they're out there, and then the sun just does its job, and the next thing you know, you have this beautiful bleached out cow skull. And she was infatuated with them. She loved painting them. And our last painting today is another skull with these beautiful antlers on it. And when I look at this painting, I see how the branches of the tree are so much like the antlers on this deer skull. So, and look how low this horizon was. Remember how high it was on the other one? Look at how low. It's just a little last edge. And maybe you recognize that from the second painting we did. You see this flat top here, that mesa top? That's the same place that she painted before. She painted that place a lot of times. And we have this beautiful tree that goes all the way up off the top of the page with her gorgeous blue sky. So Georgia really helped women artists in particular. She was the first woman to get a lot of money for her paintings. So all women artists owe her a debt to that. Georgia O'Keeffe. She was a wonderful woman. She lived a very long life. And we have so much art to be grateful to her for making. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Art Appreciation by the Canoga Park Youth Arts Center, and we will have another amazing woman for you guys to explore next time. Thanks again.